Hello friends, welcome to CEC online lectures. So we had begun with the job analysis that is done by organizations, and we also learned in the previous lecture about the importance of an effective job analysis and how the information collected through job analysis can help in the recruitment and selection of employees. So although job analysis can be studied as a separate topic, but I feel that it is a very important aspect of recruitment and selection because what kind of employees we want, what if the HR is not well aware of what jobs they want to hire people, or secondly, what kind of people they want to hire to perform those particular jobs. So the entire recruitment and selection process will not have its meaning. So job analysis is a very important process as far as the recruitment and selection of employees is concerned. Then we also learned that how these informations are collected, what are the various potential problems in the job analysis process, because at times the top management doesn't support, they do not communicate it to their employees that why we are performing this entire process. And then at times the analyst who is performing the job analysis, they are not well trained. So if they are not well trained, or they are not motivated, they do not understand the process or how to collect information, then again it will lead to having no particular outcomes. And job analysis, we have learned that it has outcomes like designing the job description and the job specification. So if the interviewer doesn't know how to ask questions, how to gather information, then we cannot have a proper job description and a job specification. Then there are certain other potential problems in the job analysis process. But now, in the present lecture, we are going to first learn that what are the steps in a job analysis. So, a proper job analysis process, it includes the following steps, beginning with to determine the purpose. So, first and foremost, we must determine, and we must be aware that why we are performing the job analysis. Then we select a representative position, because each and every job cannot be analyzed. We must have certain representative positions which have to be analyzed. Then we select and train the analyst. Then we review the background information, we analyze the job, and then as we stated that the outcome of a job analysis is developing a job description and a job specification. So let's learn about all these in the presentation. So first, determine the purpose for conducting job analysis. The purpose should be clearly linked to the organizational success and strategic plan. So this is one of the major drawbacks of a job analysis, is that at times the management is not clear. The HR department is not clear of the purpose of conducted the job analysis. Are we conducting it for recruitment purpose, or are we conducting it for performance appraisal, or are we conducting it for identifying the training needs? So that purpose of conducting job analysis has to be clear, and secondly, it has to be clearly linked to the organizational success or any strategic plan that you might be having. So that is very important. And a frequent reason for conducting job analysis is that jobs today have become more dynamic in nature. So there are not stagnant jobs. So with technology advancements and demands of a competitive environment, the nature of job has entirely changed. There has been a paradigm shift in the nature of jobs, and rapid organizational growth has also led to new types of jobs emerging, which require clear and precise job descriptions. So until and unless you identify these things, the people you are going to hire will also not be easily understanding what they have to do. and whether they can apply to that particular job or not. So that clear information has to be gathered, and that is the sole purpose of conducting job analysis. And if the job analysis is not there, not done in a proper manner, then it may lead to high turnover, lower job satisfaction, lower morale in the employees, and lesser engagement of employees. The second step is that we identify the jobs that we need to analyze. After the purpose is identified, that is why we are analyzing the job, it provides some indication as to which jobs should be included in the job analysis. So often, however, time and resource constraints limit the total number of jobs that can be included in the process. So we all know that every organization has so many jobs, but every job cannot be included in the job analysis process. So we have to identify that what all jobs we need to analyze. Then after identifying the jobs, we must select the analyst who will be performing the job analysis part and train them also. So choose analyst to whom responsibilities will be assigned for job analysis. The analysts will be taken from professional human resource or line managers or incumbents or consultants. And if we use internal analysts, then we have to give them appropriate training so that they can use the selected methods of job analysis in an efficient and effective manner. The next step is reviewing the relevant background data. So efficient and effective job analysis, it often builds from previous work and data that are already collected, and a review of the current job descriptions and organizational charts. It provides the basic information with which to begin the project. So we can use the background or the previous data that has been collected, and we can review that in context to the current job descriptions. Then analysis of the workflow, it assists in understanding the responsibilities of jobs and how it fits into the total work process. And then finally, we will plan and execute the job analysis. That is, we will finally perform the job analysis. But for that, we know that planning is the key to successful projects, and very well articulated projects might fail if they lack proper planning. So we as management students, we all are aware of the significance and importance of planning. So it is the key to all successful projects. So anything which is unplanned or not planned effectively in a proper manner, it is bound to be a failure. So we must play right time on the planning part of job analysis. Then the appropriate data gathering methodologies must be determined and an action plan developed as to project activities. So the data collection methods are covered in the next section. Then comes the final output of the job analysis, that is writing the job description and the job specification. So job description will give you the duties and responsibilities that are to be performed in the job, whereas job specification will give you the skills, the educational qualifications, the experience in the potential employee so that he can perform the job in a proper manner. So after the data are collected and analyzed, they are turned into written documents, and these documents are referred to as the job description and the job specifications. And before finalizing, these documents are reviewed with a representative sample of employees as well as their managers. And if required, some modifications to these documents can be made. So if the employer or the employee feels that some aspects are to be changed or altered, so they can be done at this stage, and then the final approvals are obtained. So that is the entire process of the job analysis. Then we come to the next part, that is the sources of data collection, that from where we can collect the data. So broadly speaking, there can be three sources of data. The first, employees, the supervisors, and the trade analyst. So employees are the ones who are actually performing the job. So if I am actually performing a job, so I am a better decision maker, I am the better source, we can say, of the data that has to be collected while performing a job analysis. So the first and foremost and the most important source of data collection is the employee who is actually performing that job. The first hand information can be gathered from them. Then come the supervisors and foremen who watch the workers while doing a job, and thereby they acquire knowledge about it. So the supervisors, they are observing, they are watching their workers perform a job. So they acquire knowledge by watching their employees or workers working. So they are also a source of data. Next are the trade job analysts. They are basically the observers, and they are specially appointed by the organization to observe employees performing a job. So they might be external to the organization, and they are specially appointed to observe the employees performing a job so that they can analyze the job. Then coming to the methods of data collection. So information regarding tasks performed and skills needed to successfully perform can be gathered in many ways. So there can be the observation method is there, interviews is there, diary methods, questionnaires, or the internet. But what is seen is at times that organizations generally use one or two methods, that either they use observation or they use interview method for data collection. But when we are using a single method, we might lose on certain other aspects of the job, right? So it is always better that you use more than one sources of information or more than one methods of data collection. For example, you can club observation and interview, or you can club observation and diary method, or interview and questionnaire, so that you give a bigger picture of the job, a holistic picture of the entire job. Because by using one method, we might miss out on certain important aspects of a job. So that is very important, and that must be taken care of while you are collecting the data. So let's learn about all these methods, and all these methods, be it the observation method or interview or diary method, they all have their pros and cons. They have their advantages and disadvantages. So it is up to the organization to decide which methods they can use. So as far as the observation method is concerned, so a job analyst observes an employee and records all his performed and non-performed tasks and responsibilities, duties, the methods of performing the job, the ways, skills used to perform duties, and the mental or emotional ability of the employee to handle challenges and risks. So the pros of this method is that it is a simple method, that you are just observing things. So data are collected, are accurate because of the direct observation. So if I am observing, so it is what I am observing is right in front of my eyes. So there is no scope of any kind of manipulation. So it is a more accurate kind of a data. But since it is time consuming, because I will be observing the entire process, the entire job cycle while the person is performing the job. So that makes it a more time consuming and a cumbersome process. Also, it is inapplicable to jobs which have unobservable mental activities. So there are jobs which involve a lot of critical thinking, a lot of decision making, a lot of other things which cannot be observed, right? So in that particular jobs, this method fails. So analysts must be trained to carefully observe and record the competence of a job incumbent, and this makes this process a bit costly, because a proper training has to be given to the analyst so that he can observe as well as he can record those observations in terms of statements. So that training that has to be given to the analyst, and this training makes the process costly. Next is the interviews. We all are aware of this method. So the job analyst can interview employee inquiring as to what activities they are engaged in and what knowledge, skills and abilities or the KSAs are required to perform that job. And to cover all aspects of the job, you must develop a standardized and a structured interview protocol that is used in all interviews. So the interview must be a structured one, but at times some unstructured interviews are also used. That will depend on the efficiency of the interviewer. So during the interview, the analyst must make judgments about information to be included and its degree of importance. So the method again is time consuming, though it is a reliable method, but it is time consuming. Furthermore, the professional and managerial jobs are more complicated to analyze and they may require longer interviews. Then the problem of bias is also there on part of the analyst. So the job holder impact the accuracy and objectivity of the data obtained. So if the analyst is biased or judges the incumbent in some way or the other, that will have a great impact on the accuracy and the objectivity of the data that we are collecting. So if the entire process of collecting that data is biased, so that will lead to inaccurate data, and that data will be of no use in further job description or job specification. So that bias has to be removed, right? But this is a certain problem we learned in the potential problems in job analysis also, that at times the analysts are biased, so that has to be avoided. So the pros are that it involves talking to job holders who are in a better position to describe what they do, as well as the qualifications needed to perform their duties in a competent manner. So it is a first-hand information. So if somebody is asking me or interviewing me about my job, so I am in a better position to describe what I do, what skills I need, what qualifications I have to perform my duty in a competent manner. So I am a first-hand source of information. So that is why we say that it is a good method. But again, the effectiveness of this method depends on the interviewer and the ability of the job holder to make meaningful responses. So the interaction of the interviewer and the person who is giving the interview, that is very important, because if the interviewer is not asking relevant questions, then you will not get meaningful responses. So what typical questions can be asked, like what is the job being performed, what are the major duties being performed, what physical location you work in, what are your job's duties and responsibilities, what are the job's physical demands. So all these questions can be a part of your interview. Then next comes the technical conference method. So in this method, the services of the supervisors who possess extensive knowledge about a job are used. So details about job are obtained from these experts. And here a conference of supervisors is used. The analyst initiates the discussion which provides the details about the jobs. So though it is a good method of data collection, but this method lacks accuracy because the actual job holders are not involved in collecting information. So this is a second, we can say, secondary source of data collection. Next comes the diary method. Well, this method requires the job holders to record in detail their activities along with the time taken to perform each activity each day. So what all activities an employee is performing, a worker is performing through the entire day. He or she will jot down all those activities in a diary along with the time taken to perform each one of those activities. Now this produces a complete picture of a job, and when supplemented with requisite interviews with worker and supervisors, this can be an excellent method of collecting data. So as I said, that we should not rely on just one method, we should try and use more than one method. So if the diary entries are combined with interview or any other method of data collection. So the diary method can be a very useful method of data collection. So if done properly, this method is accurate and eliminates errors caused by memory lapses the job holder makes while answering questionnaires. And this method is, though time consuming, as the recording of tasks may spread over a number of days. And secondly, it has also been observed that employees might exaggerate some activities and might underplay some others. So this normally happens when they are not properly communicated of the purpose of collecting this information. So that normally happens. But yes, it is a good method, more accurate, and less of errors are there. Next method is the questionnaire method, and it can be developed and given to a large number of employees. So whenever there are a larger sample size, so questionnaires can be effective. So it is an efficient way of gathering data when large number of individuals occupy the same job and when the employees are widely dispersed geographically. So for example, there are MNCs who have offices or employees throughout the globe. So in that scenario, questionnaire method is a very good method, because they are taking interviews or observing, or diary methods will have their own potential problem. So questionnaires is a more we can say efficient and an effective manner of collecting data when individuals are widely dispersed and individuals are occupying the same job. And another advantage of questionnaire method is that the data that is gathered through questionnaires, it can be statistically analyzed. We can use statistical tools to analyze that data. And whenever we have statistically analyzed data, the outcomes will be more reliable, they will be more authentic, and they will be more data driven. So you can rely on those analysis reports in a proper manner. But the effectiveness again depends on the questions that are being asked. And a poorly developed questionnaires do not yield the required data to prepare accurate job description and job specification. So the questions in the questionnaire have to be proper, have to be easily understandable. The language should not be ambiguous, that if you are reading it, you presume it's something else. If I read, I presume it's something else. So there has to be clarity, and each and every aspect has to be covered. So that is very important while designing questionnaires. If the questionnaires are poorly developed, it will have no benefit to the organization. So some employees might not also be competent to properly complete the questionnaire, and others might deliberately answer inaccurately. So these are some of the disadvantages of the questionnaire method, that at times we are incompetent to comprehend the questions, and at times we might take it not take it too seriously, we might take it casually, and we might start answering them inaccurately. So these are some of the disadvantages. Now coming to the types of questionnaires. The first type of questionnaire is the position analysis questionnaire. It is also called the PAQ, and it is a quantitative method which analyzes the job in 5 dimensions based on responses to 194 questions. So the entire questionnaire consists of 194 questions, and these 194 questions are pertaining to decision making, performing skilled activities, being physically active, operating equipments, and processing information. And it lets you assign a quantitative score to each job based on these dimensions. So the primary advantage of a PAQ is that it can be used to analyze almost every job. So every job can be analyzed using a PAQ, and it provides a comparison of a specific job with other job classifications, particularly for selection and remuneration purposes. However, it needs to be completed by trained job analysts rather than incumbents or supervisors, since the language in the questionnaire is considered to be difficult. The second type of questionnaire is the management position description questionnaire. It is a highly structured questionnaire. It contains 208 items relating to managerial responsibilities, restrictions, demands, and other miscellaneous position related characteristics. So these 208 items are often grouped under some 13 categories. So another questionnaire is the function job analysis, or the FJA. It is a comprehensive worker-oriented approach to job analysis that incorporates the goal of the organization, what workers do to achieve those goals, the level and orientation of what workers do, their performance standards, and the training content. So it is more of worker oriented than of the organization oriented. So the FJA evaluates the function of jobs in classifications like the data, people, and things, apart from the extent to which performing the task requires specific instructions, reasoning, and judgment, some mathematical or verbal abilities required to do a particular job. So this was about the kinds of questionnaires that are used for collecting information. Then there are the more recent ones are the internet-based job analysis. So this is best suitable when you are gathering information from geographically or internationally dispersed workforce, and it is more accurate, more reliable, and a faster source. The HR department, they may distribute the standardized set of job analysis questionnaires to employees via the internet or the intranet within the organization, and they might have the instructions to complete those questionnaires or those formats, and they have to be returned to the HR department. So on the basis of the responses, they can help in designing the job analysis process. So friends, today we learned very important aspects of job analysis, and job analysis as such is very crucial for the recruitment and selection of employees in the organization. We learned of how information can be collected through various sources, like we have the observations, the interviews, the diary methods, questionnaires, or through the internet. And we also stressed upon the aspect that instead of using one single method of data collection, we should try and use a combination of these methods, so that we can get a more holistic, a bigger picture of the entire job, and so that some details might not be left behind. Because all these information that we gather, or the data that we gathered, will help us in designing the job description and job specification. And on the basis of these job descriptions and job specification, the employees will be applying for for the particular vacancy. And until and unless people apply for a vacancy in the organization, you will not be able to fill those vacancies. So that is very important. Then we also learned of the sources of data collection. There are three sources: there are employees, supervisors, and job analysts are there. So through all these sources, we can collect the data. Then we also learned of the steps in the job analysis part. So like determining the purpose, selecting the representative position, selecting and training the analyst, reviewing the background information, analyzing the job, and developing a job description and a job specification. So with this, we come to the end of this lecture. So we'll continue with some other aspects of recruitment and selection in the next forthcoming lectures. Thank you.